Let's now speak to the former president of the Nigerian Bar Association and senior advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Joseph Daudu. And it's good to see you tonight, senior advocate, and thank you so much for joining us tonight. Let's begin the
Good evening,
conversation from how we started with my first guest on the program. And it's going to be about what happened yesterday in Lagos. The police say that they dispersed the protesters because they were not informed of the rally and they feared a possible hijack by hoodlums. Although the lawyer to the group said that they've written to the state governor and the police in Lagos. Under the law, senior advocate, give us a sense. What do you suppose is the right thing to do, and how do you assess what transpired on Saturday in Lagos?
Thank you very much. We've been going around in circles on this point. However, I think there appears to be different treatment for different groups of protesters. Now, what is expected to happen is that fundamentally, there is a right for people to express themselves and to engage in a protest, peaceful albeit, and convey their views, because not everybody can have access to the government houses or to the villa. So it is necessary at times to stage peaceful protests, devoid of any modicum of riots or any or trouble in the process. Now, there are also agitation from the police that they should at least be notified of any proposed public procession or rally, not for the purposes of saying yes or no, but for the purposes of monitoring and giving them protection to carry out this peaceful process or protest. Now, if the police dispersed by use of some force a legitimate protest, that would appear to run contrary to the rights of the protesters. This is because, at the very least, what the police are expected to do is to create a buffer, even if they are worried that hoodlums may seek to take over or contaminate the peaceful rally. What they can do is to create a buffer between them and whatever proposed third parties, the unwanted third parties that are in. But in this case, to go ahead and disband peaceful protesters under the apprehension that some unknown and unexpected, in quote, hoodlums will disturb the peace of the society is a little bit too speculative for me. I think it's already getting, I understand the position of the police, which is one of a recent experience. But at the same time, one of the ways of allowing citizenry to express its view and to let government know its position is to allow people to peacefully, in a civilized manner, convey their fears and positions to government. So that's
rightly said. All right. Well, rightly said, because the police in Lagos might look at recent history of what happened during the NSAS protests, and probably precautions are being taken. But senior advocate, if you look at this, the agitation for Yoruba nation seems to be growing, because we've seen the protests from Ekiti State to some other states, Osun and Oyo State, now in Lagos. What does the Constitution say about such agitations, and does that get entertained politically?
You see, there is, by virtue of international treaties, entered between Nigeria and the AU, the United Nations, a right for any group of persons to seek self-determination. However, it is not what they call via et armis, which is by force of arms. You have to pursue the constitutional process for it. Part of the constitutional process is to inform and impart knowledge of the agitation. So it is lawful to take to the streets to say we are for XY reason, injustice, inequity, marginalization, want to be able to rule ourselves. If the basis of the grievance is not made known to the whole world, it follows, therefore, that it is not possible to make a case for self-determination. The next stage, therefore, is to approach the local legislation to trigger the provisions for the amendment of the Constitution, which, as you know, is a Herculean task, to trigger it and to secure an accession of whichever territory you want from the present. If the others don't want you to go, you perhaps may be drawn into a very long, atrocious constitutional battle to secure self-determination. So,
But in the face of the agitation, how do you suppose the situation could be better handled so it doesn't degenerate into something chaotic? Because if you look at the Western region, in the Operation Wet here, and the situation we saw in the Ekiti axis of the region and the history of our country, one will be better informed and be guided on the fact that one will not see an escalation of violence based on agitations from the people.
Well, if you just one step back and then look at 10 years ago, there were no agitations for self-determination for different enclaves. I think these current agitations are born out of our recent experiences. The experience of, in quotes, the herdsmen taking territories, going into other territories, committing crimes. There is also the experience, and it's not happening in only one part of the country. Even in the part of the country where we are, it is saturated with criminal activities. You have bandits, you have cattle rustlers, you have people, the terrorists have all taken up territories. Now, the reaction of people differ from place to place. In the South, they are completely not used to it, and therefore will not just turn and offer themselves up to be consumed. And that is why they are saying much more needs to be done to ensure the peace, order, and good governance of those territories. The ball is squarely in the doorstep of federal government, because they have all the constitutional powers to deal with all those insurrections. Now, coupled with the fact that there is perception from the East that they are marginalized, that there is nepotism, that offices are not equitably distributed, even according to the Constitution that says federal character. Now, when you have all this and people temporarily say it's better for us to go to our own tents, the solution is not to clamp down on them and label people as label leadership of the agitators as secessionists or as criminals. The solution is in a political mediation. Therefore, some of these tactics provoke the more malevolent characters to emerge and take action. I followed the arguments here and there between the DSS and the lawyers of Sunday Igboho, and it is clear from what I saw, his house is in the middle of the town and therefore amenable to search warrants and other civil methods of doing things. But the point is, with this kind of approach, like-minded persons may take to the bush or to the forest and operate from there, which will make it even more difficult for law enforcement agencies to monitor. So great care must be taken for all those who are in law enforcement to operate within the boundaries of the law, just as we expect those agitating for self-determination, whatever that is, to operate within the law. It is the failure to operate within the law that is leading us to an uncharted territory, the end of which nobody may be able to predict.
I must sincerely thank you, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Joseph Daudu, and a former NBA president. It's good to see you again, Mr. Daudu, and thank you so much for your time tonight with us. I appreciate it. Well, that's our show for tonight. Many thanks for watching, everyone. I'm Chinwo Kimbale. Enjoy the rest of your evening.